If you've taken some music theory, you've probably learned not to write parallel fifths in your part writing homework and on tests. But if you play some of your favorite songs, you may have noticed that parallel fifths happen all the time. So what gives? This is MusicCorner Breve, I'm David Kulma. If you've studied part writing or counterpoint, you've learned many things to do and many things not to do. One of the things you can do is write two voices a perfect fifth apart. But if you have both voices move directly into another perfect fifth, this will get you into trouble. You can't do this here. Now, if you play the famous rock song, You Really Got Me, the opening riff is a bunch of power chords in a row. This is a series of parallel fifths. If the Kinks are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, then why can't I do this too? The answer is that most of the music theory in your textbook is about music from Europe in the 18th and 19th centuries. This theory is to help us mimic and understand the music of Bach, Mozart, and Beethoven rather than 20th century rock. The reason these classical musicians avoided parallel fifths is an idea called voice independence. That is, if you have two notes at once, they should have different melodic paths, even in a hymn where everyone sings the same rhythms. Whereas, if you listen to the Kinks guitar riff again, you may notice that the voices sound more like one voice singing multiple notes. This effect can happen even when you write one instance of parallel fifths, and these classical composers didn't want this to happen, so they actively avoided it. Side note, there are parallel fifths in this music. These exceptions prove how rare parallel fifths actually are. But there are later classical composers who use the Kinks technique. It's called planing. You have a bunch of voices sing the same melody at the same time, but they all start on different notes. Debussy is famous for this, and many musicians have used it since. This means that voice independence isn't a universal musical value. Sometimes we want the harmony to follow the melody so closely that they fuse into one voice. And sometimes we want each individual part to be obviously different. It's even possible to do neither. So when should you use parallel fifths? For theory class, it depends on what music you're studying. Since theory classes and books focus so heavily on European classical music from 200 years ago, you might think avoiding parallel fifths is an unbreakable rule. This may be true for your theory test, but in your own music, you can use parallel fifths whenever you want. Now, if you want your music to sound more like a certain kind of dead classical composer, which is a very useful skill for certain places in movie and video game music, consider avoiding parallel fifths to see if it sounds like what you're looking for. Otherwise, use them liberally. I do. If you're new to MusicCorner, I would love to have you subscribe. Also, please consider supporting my work over on Patreon. Thanks for watching MusicCorner Breve. I'll see you next week, music nerds, and remember, everything we do is music.